Cars look great going to Hammers. Diamond did an amazing job getting both cars together. I didn't get to be there as much as I normally would. How much were you there, Brad?
I was there a couple times, even though there was the list was very short. Everything was set and prepped on the car, so it was not a lot to do. Just minor putting body panels back on or small parts here and there.
So going into Hammers, both cars were very well prepped, very well run from Nationals. We had a lot of new parts and felt good about it. Should be continued with that. So get on the lake bed, we go shock tune. First thing we do after it snowed and we had a bunch of different weather events. I think we had every season in a matter of a week at King of the Hammers. And we lost 2 transmissions within about 15 minutes of each other. Completely different issues. But yeah, we had to pull the transmissions and send them to Vegas in one day, which was kind of cool on a team level because we had both transmissions out in an hour and a half when we got back. And Diamond and Chunky took those to Gearworks. Gearworks, I think they showed up at 9 o'clock in the morning to Gearworks. They both had been rebuilt and dyno tuned and back in the truck by 5 o'clock that night. So a lot of respect and shout outs to Gearworks and Dynamic Motorsports because we also had a new converter the next day too.
The motor on the lake bed?
No, that was after that.
On the lake bed.
I know, the motor was after the transmission. So we get the transmissions back together and Pip and Diamond go out and we get a SOS call to go and rescue Diamond and Pip, and they broke a chiming chain, which was a lot of fun. And again, team came together. We had the whole car apart in I think 2 hours. Were you there for that one?
Yes.
Okay, 2 hours. I think we had the whole car torn apart for Samir Grom Racing to show up, and he brought parts, and we got the car back together.
Had to rebuild both heads.
Yeah.
Was there anything else we did other than rebuild both heads?
Timing chain, oil pump, it don't matter.
Yeah.
We got the motor back on.
So we went out and pre-ran in the Pro R, pre-ran the desert lap. Pip had 20 miles left on the desert lap to pre-run, and we had the whole first lap to pre-run. So we went out on lap 1, started hitting it in the Pro R, handled everything great. I mean, I didn't even see places to put notes. There was not too many G-outs, there was not too many rock hazards, so it was a fast first loop. We caught Pip and Dave at mile marker 15, which is 15 miles to the finish line, so we did 50 miles in the time they did 5. They were having issues with their razor injectors were going bad, so they were sputtering along, so it happens in pre-running even.
So we took their notes, which they had a lot of time to detail, which they did amazing with the notes. It helped us a lot on lap 1. I had done lap 2 in the race car. I don't want to say I destroyed the race car in pre-running lap 2, but I'm glad we had the pre-runner skins on. Lap 2 and 3 were going to be wild, and going into the race, I was kind of nervous on if the car was going to survive or anybody's car would survive because we laid it over going up Jack in lap 2 pre-running, laid it over on Brad's side, of course. And I'm like, man, if this is what's ahead of us and we haven't even seen lap 3, it's going to get wild. Qualifying was, how did qualifying go? I can tell you early in the morning, it did not go well before qualifying even started. I went out by myself, pre-ran the qualifying, did 2 laps. And on the second lap, which I was like, I'm going to be safe, I'm just do the Gates gate up at the top by myself. I just needed to see the line because the flags weren't up. When I went up there, I hit something and the car shifted. I hit a ledge, blew a tire, and it jammed my elbow into the door bar. And I had a really bad stinger in my arm, enough to where it lasted. I got back to pits, it got in my head. I had to like walk around, shake it off a bit, and I was really worried about getting into qualifying. I took some Advil, changed the tire, talked about it, talked to Brad about it, told him where the problem was. Getting to qualifying, we hit the gap jump, perfect. We went up through the Bronco arches, perfect. And then we hit the Gates gate. We hit it perfect. I hit all the marks that I wanted to. I was a little conservative coming through the V-notch and the downhill because if you don't have a brake line or something like that, there were some big boulders. So we qualified 44th, which I think might be the best we've qualified at King of the Hammers. Possibly. But I was okay with it. We had a clean run. I was happy with it. Brad was happy with it. So it was actually a confidence boost to make it through. Didn't blow any tires, didn't crash anything, didn't flip over. So it was good for, in my opinion, we did pretty dang good, except Pip beat us.
Pre-run's always been a weird spot. I mean, Chip doesn't turn on like a light bulb. He takes some time for him to warm up. But it was a flawless pre-run, or a flawless qualifying lap. He was a little more conservative than he usually is, climbing through the rocks, I remember, as well as coming down through the rocks, just keeping the car together, not trying to do damage. But no rocks hit, no lines missed. It was a perfect pre-run. Just could have been a little faster.
Truth? That is very true. I can say this year, with even the transmission issues, the motor issues, the whole team was calmer. We got along. The stress wasn't as high as it was in the past. Every team fights. But this one was a lot less than we had done in the past. So the couple of days that we had between when they shut down pre-running to when we were going to race, and even Scott's race, was actually kind of relaxing enough to where we didn't know what to do with our hands, type deal. We went and studied the notes on lap 3. Could have done better with some of those, but we didn't know that. You know, lap 3, we had no idea what the lap 3 trails were going to be. Brad and I talked about it a lot. We looked at the GPS, but you don't know what you don't know until you get into the race.
The time period between qualifying and race day was dead, damn near. Scott was racing. We had other friends racing. We watched their racing, looked at lines, looked at different trails they were taking, trying to get a visual on some of this stuff that we haven't seen in, 5 days it had been since we pre-ran. So just kind of learning on what other people are doing, watching what other people are doing, making mistakes on and trying to correct that.
Correct what? Me or other things?
The mistakes other people make.
Brad. He made a lot of mistakes.
I made less than you.
So the mindset getting in the race car. One is they filled in the gap jump, and we didn't know it until we pulled up to the line. There were some accidents the day before. Actually, I think there was a few different accidents. But we had a plan for the gap jump, which was right off the start line. That changed. Then we're sitting on the start line, and we all start moving, and Pip doesn't start. So we're like, do we go around or do we help? There's some confusion there. Then we were like, screw Pip.
Scott came out.
Scott came out, our savior. All of our saviors, to be continued with that. So we went ahead. We got into lap 1, and it was dusty. Even though with the snow the week before, the weather, I thought it was going to be not near as dusty like last year, but it was real damn dusty. And one of the things I'm not comfortable in yet is racing in dust, like getting on somebody's bumper, chasing the lights, watching their taillights, seeing what was going on. I pushed through it. There was points we were doing 70, 80 miles an hour, couldn't see right in front of us, but we could see some lights. And I did something I wasn't really comfortable with. I stepped out of the lane and we went tree bushing. a lot, and enough to where we had the bushes inside the car, all in the front of the car, but we made the passes that we needed to make. We didn't crash the car. 30 miles in, we got a flat that we had to stop and change because of the bushwhacking. We got it changed pretty quickly. A lot of cars passed us, and then we kept on boogieing along again. I think that was 30 miles in, if I'm not mistaken. 60 miles in, all of a sudden I started getting a warning light that we had no voltage. We stopped, and all of a sudden the whole front of the car started smoking, and we thought we were on fire. What had happened is all the bushes had gotten caught in the CVs with the grease, broke the CV boots, and really started to ignite. And when we stopped, we thought we were on fire. So we made kind of quick work of that, pulled all the trees out, found out we had an alternator issue, and then continued on to remote pit, where they re-racked us. We made the decision to keep going to main pit because main pit had more tools and capabilities, and then that's where Farley and Littlefoot and St. Clair's and I don't know who all was on the car, but they made real quick work on changing the alternator.
Yeah, race day was like any other race day. I mean, I actually, every time I get in the car right before the race starts, I crash. I get tired. I could fall asleep there, just let my Hans hold my head up. But, once that green flag flies, it's race time. Started off pretty good. We were clipping people off left and right. Once we got to a bigger groups, the dust was just overwhelming. You couldn't get far enough outside the dust. We were at one point like over 100 feet off course trying to look for clean air, but with 3 cars in front of you going 3 wide, just they putting up so much dust, you couldn't see around it. So every time we'd pop our head out, we'd hit a bush. Try to get your head outside the dust, you hit a bush. And, that's part of racing. I mean, learn how to deal with it, but that's what qualifying up front is good for.
So lap 1 being as chaotic as it was with the alternator, the tires, the bushes, it made lap 2 a little conservative, but all of a sudden we had clean air. And I think in lap 2 we went the fastest we had gone the whole day. Our top speed was a little over 101. We could have gone faster, but we had a vibration somewhere in the car. So right around 90 was our magic point. And we still kept picking off cars. In lap 2, we made up a lot of time in lap 2. We got into Jack. We did a little rock bouncing in Jack. Brad got us into a position where we could winch really quickly. And I think we passed 8 cars going up Jack. And then we continued that on through lap 2. Then we get into refuel, end of lap 2. We go into lap 3, get into aftershock, and I'm feeling something goofy with the steering. And we hit some things kind of hard. There was some G-outs, there were some rocks. The car was abused. And so the car started stuttering on the steering part in lap 3. We also had an alternator that we replaced that wasn't keeping up with the voltage, so we couldn't run everything we wanted to, which gets into the last half of lap 3. So, but at the beginning of lap 3, we come in and Littlefoot and Farley there as soon as we pulled in with a new rack, because I had a feeling that there was some issues that we saw was leaking when we went out on lap 3. We come into remote pit. I could feel it shuddering. They showed up with a rack. Normally that rack takes about 2 hours to change out. Those guys somehow slammed that thing in there. I'm going to guess, and no, it was less 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, Jackson and Kevin.
And Littlefoot.
And Littlefoot and Farley when they showed up. But yes, they had that out before Littlefoot and Farley showed up. And they were slapping back together.
Getting it out's easy. Getting it back in is a lot harder. Also, at the same time, Pip and Diamond came in with the fan issues. I guess they don't have big fans anywhere in the race.
He'll be a fan of Pip.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to be a fan of Australian, but they came in at the same time and still got out ahead of us. But we did catch them going up full of hate. They were stuck in their Aaron who broke. They went over Aaron. We're going to be opposite. We tried to go under Aaron, didn't work. We got hung up, and they boogied on. And the rest of lap 3 was, I would say, mostly uneventful, although we couldn't really see. We got stuck a couple of times trying to get around Josh Plyler's car, trying to get full of hate. We winched a couple of people, and in that part, the alternator wasn't keeping up, so we would go to like 9-10 volts and make the car run like crap. Still, then we come into the finish with another flat, which was probably my fault. Brad and I weren't talking.
I wasn't driving.
See, we need counseling after this race, and I'm sure many other co-drivers and drivers need counseling because this crap about not knowing where we were going. Actually, I thought it was pretty cool.
Which I'm going to speak on later.
Go ahead, speak on it.
No, we're not there yet.
It's a safe place. You can speak on it now.
It's not. Coming out of lap 1 into lap 2, car felt good. I mean, we felt good. We passed, once we finally got into pits and we came through with a flat tire, there were so many cars loaded up in pit 2. We passed another 8 people there. I mean, big names in there, big cars. Just everybody was having issues going through the rocks. When we pulled out of there, I think we gained more spots, even, all the people we passed in the desert. But, that was just setting us up for lap 3, which would be a trial of everything that we can do. So
You said we.
I said we. Well, I do rely on you to do some things.
So we also rely on each other, but one of the things about being in the canyons and not knowing lap 3, the GPSs we use as slow as we were going, because we're crawling on rocks, not because we're slow.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both, maybe. The GPS spins. So there was a lot of trying to figure out which way we were actually supposed to go.
And if we're not moving, I cannot tell him what direction he's pointing. The second he stops and says which way, the GPS just starts doing this. And so I don't know which way until he moves.
So there was some words said inside the car.
And then also the GPS shows me one line going forward. He asked which way to go. I said, keep moving. I'll tell you when you're wrong.
I was wrong a lot.
So lap 2 and 3 in the rocks. It's always difficult in the rocks. We've never really had big problems. Usually I get out of the car maybe twice a race to winch around a big obstacle or another car. I got out of the car 4 times to winch around other cars.
Actually, I think we only had to winch 2 for us.
We winched 3 times total. All 3 were to get around other cars, but I winched more cars out of our way to go through that spot in order to get there. We did it at Jackhammer.
Jack, catch me if you can. Catch me full of hate.
Yep. And that one where Blyler was rolled over, we had a winch.
Oh yeah, whiskey on the rocks.
Yeah, whiskey on the rocks. But as far as a co-driver going into this, honestly, my goal is not to get out of the car. I hope he drives good enough so I don't have to, but that never happens. So, each year
navigation.
When we came up to Jack, there was no navigation around that. We had to winch up the side of the mountain to get over it.
We did. I think we pretty much did the hero line.
Oh yeah.
On going up Jack. And we made up most of it and had to winch the last part of it.
Correct. But when you get out of a car, like when we came to Catch Me If You Can, Monkey with the Knife was there, stuck, wedged. His rear tire was undercut, his front tire was undercut, he couldn't go backwards or forwards. I sat there with his co-driver trying to winch him out of there until I finally had to have Chip go around the obstacle, hook up to him, winch the cage over just to get him out of the hole, and then Chip got back in line and walked the whole thing, never winching once. So as far as lap 3 goes, it was learning for me as a co-driver. I've always seen the the lap 3 trails. We've tried the lap 3 trails. That way we know what to expect. I didn't even know where the exits were for the lap 3 trails, and because they haven't been ran in so many years, very difficult to decipher in the daylight. Imagine doing it at night. When you pull up to the T on your GPS, you can see it. You can't see anything on course. There's no tracks or nothing. So you're driving blindly in the direction of the GPS. I did my best. Like I said, the GPS spins if you stand still. So if movement slowed down or stopped, I couldn't tell them which way to go. We had to be moving all the time in order for us to find our direction. Did my best at hitting all the RCPs. I already have plans for next year when they do this again to us.
We missed 3 RCPs.
Yep.
2 were my fault, I'll admit it. Third one, we tried to get close and we just...
It's weird because it's in a canyon where there's 5 RCPs. We hit 4 out of the 5. How did we miss that one? We don't know. Maybe we were on the left side or right side. Not sure how it happened, but it happened. Surely computers don't mess up.
Neither do co-drivers.
They're more reliable than computers. They're more reliable than drivers.
Probably. So one thing that was really cool is we had a lot of different teams. We had a lot of different people. We had half the crew we normally do. Diamond Dave did awesome with the cars. Pip coming over from Australia to come keep racing with us, and they had a lot of trials and tribulations. And well, I say y'all, and they finished. Wicks Family Racing, they finished. Farley, he finished. We finished. So it's a huge thanks to everybody that came out and helped, supported us, did it late nights. Mackenzie, Tyler, YouTube, just doing the videos and coming out and supporting us. It was a badass race, and I wish Z was here to come see the 4 of us finish.
Every race has its own hurdles, but the major one is our lives in general. We have to break away from our lives to go to these races, and it's our families that support us and help us. Our families and our friends that take care of things when we're gone. Whether or not it's our employees or our co-workers. I'd like to thank every one of them because we couldn't do this without them. Also, lost it.
It's okay, I'll come back later, kind of like the GPS.
Yeah.
You're still hydrating from the race?
I'm good on water, thank you.
One of the biggest things is I wore this little nifty watch or bracelet. 6,200 calories I burned in that race from sitting in the car.
They probably thought you were walking because you were going so slow.
I did get like 60,000 steps. I hate you. I'm interviewing for a new co-driver.
And a good driver if there's one out there.
You can ride with Paul Wolf.
He only has a single seater.
I know. To have all 4 cars, even though one of them wasn't in that class, it was in the 4,800 class, but it was a new car. As hard as this race was, and as difficult time that Dave Cole made it for us in a good way, it's an accomplishment. Because I want to say, and I know in the 4,400 class, only 27 out of 100 finished. 4,800, I think the percentage was even a lot less than that. So, but the morale for our team, especially Pip, who's coming from Australia, I think the past 4 times and hasn't finished, it had something just dumb happen. Just watching the morale for him to finish helped the morale for the whole team. And that I'm grateful for. So it's the never give up attitude. We could have given up when the motor blew. We could have given up when the transmission blew. I can tell you that Pip raced with a motor that had, I said it was domed pistons. It was really when the valves hit it, but we ran it anyways, and it did badass. We also ran, Justin, us, and Pip also ran the new project tire that Zane and I started helping develop over 3 years ago. Now it's real. It's in production. It's the tire. won't speak about my experience with the tires, but I can tell you that Pip and Justin did badass on the tires. I had a little bit different issue, which was self-inflicted.
You look back, 100 cars entered and 27 finished, so 27%. 100% of our team finished. I don't know if there's another team out there that can say that. I look at all the big teams out there that have multiple cars, and I don't think they finished all of them. So that's something that's amazing. I mean, it goes to the dedication of our team, Dave and Justin working on the cars, Scott working on his. Just the dedication to getting these cars to the finish line. The hard work pays off in the end, and we all make it.
What I would take away from 25, just keep going forward. As many problems as it's going to show up, and they will, keep going forward, because I can tell you, we had a lot of challenges, whether they were tow vehicles, whether they were race cars, whether they were picking people up from the airport. We just kept going. We made it work. We adapted, and we got along better than the team got along better than I think we've ever had. And if you're really truly a race team on the desert and been there for 2 weeks with the team, with a bunch of egomaniacs, which we all are, you're gonna fight. And we didn't fight this year. And it's the first time I can really honestly say that we got along.
Any motorsports racing is filled with alpha males, alpha females. I mean, but we're in this sport because we think we're, some of the best. We have something to add to the sport. So there's a lot of hard egos out there, a lot of attitudes, but being able to make all that work together, it takes time. Even like a marriage. I mean, a race team is kind of like a marriage. You're not going to be happy all the time. But hell,
Lori's making fun of you behind you.
Why is there a gun at me? But you're not going to be happy all the time. But being able to work through those problems and support the team. Say I'm sorry. Say hey, I didn't mean it like that. Keep your team close.
He doesn't do that.
Yeah,
you're just doing that because you're on video.
But being able to keep moving forward regardless of conflict is hard, and learning how to do that, we've done it pretty good. So
we had a lot of sponsors that helped us: Maxis, Chris, Rosie. We got the new tires. They came in at the nick of time where we had to go into town to get them. Vision, Dynamic Motorsports, EcoStaff,
Johnny,
TRC, Tuning, Grom Racing,
Fire Benders,
Baja Designs, Supply
Fire Benders.
Yeah, we're at Benders. We're support. I'm drinking water. Brad's not.
I'm drinking water as well.
That's fresh water.
Who else do we have? I already think them. Our media team.
Rufus Bar and Grill.
It's right behind us. That's Rufus Bar.
Okay.
Wick's Family Racing, Ozzy's. Who else was there helping us? The St. Clair's, SCR Racing, Wolf Racing.
I do want to say a great shout out to Jackson and Kevin. I've seen that rack. I've personally removed and replaced that rack multiple times, and I've never seen it done so quick. Yes, Scott and Johnny came in and helped, but you can't fit 4 fingers in there, let alone 4 people. And those guys together got that thing in and out so fast it probably saved our race. We probably would not have finished in time if Chip and I did it.
So we had an amazing time, and looking forward to Crossbar. Next race is Crossbar, our home turf.
The hard one.
Crossbar was harder than Hammers. But we got that here in a few short 6-7 weeks, and we're ready.
It's running. This is congratulations.
for bringing up the rear. Cheers.
Good job, guys. We love you.
Thank
so
you.
proud.
Rufus.
Rufus.